You ever wonder what's really going on deep inside your body when you get a bad chest infection? Well, today we're diving into the battle that is pneumonia, a conflict that happens right inside your own lungs.
So at its heart, pneumonia is an infection that literally turns your lungs into a battleground. You get these microbes that invade the delicate tissue, and that triggers this huge inflammatory response that just floods the whole area with fluid. And that, of course, makes it incredibly hard to breathe.
To really get what's happening, let's just follow a single breath. First, it goes down your windpipe, the trachea. Then it branches out through the bronchi, and then into even tinier cubes called the bronchioles, until it finally reaches its destination.
And that final destination is the alveoli. The best way to picture them is like tiny little clumps of grapes, just like you see here. This is the absolute critical zone. It's where the oxygen you breathe in crosses over into your bloodstream. Super important.
And this, wow. This picture just says it all, doesn't it? On the left, you've got a healthy, clear alveolus just doing its job perfectly. But on the right, that's an infected one. It's totally clogged up with fluid, white blood cells, and proteins. That critical oxygen exchange, yeah, it's severely, severely compromised.
All right, so who are these troublemakers causing all this chaos? Let's meet the microbial culprits that are actually responsible for pneumonia.
The usual suspects, you could say, fall into three main groups. First up, you've got bacteria, like Streptococcus pneumoniae. That's a really common one. Then you have viruses, the most famous one being influenza, the flu, which can totally set the stage for pneumonia. And, a bit less common, you can even get it from fungi.
Now, you've probably heard the term walking pneumonia. Well, it gets its name because the symptoms can be so vague you might just feel a little tired. You're literally walking around with it. It's caused by what we call atypical bacteria. They're different because they don't have a cell wall, and that changes how they affect your body.
Okay, for those fungal causes, which are often tied to specific regions, here's a pretty cool memory trick. Just think C for coccidiomycomycosis and C for California. And for histoplasmosis, the H right there in the name connects it to the Ohio River Valley. Just a neat little way to remember where these guys tend to hang out.
So, how do these microbes actually manage to get into our lungs? Let's take a look at the different routes of infiltration.
We can really break it down into three main ways this happens. The most common is community-acquired, which basically means you just picked it up somewhere in your daily life. Then there's hospital-acquired. And finally, there's a third type called aspiration pneumonia.
And here's the thing, and it's a really crucial point. Not all pneumonia is the same. Hospital-acquired pneumonia is often way more serious. Think about it. Patients are already sick. Their immune systems are down. And the germs in hospitals, they have what you might call great offense and defense. They're often resistant to antibiotics, like MRSA.
Let me ask you a question that I think we can all relate to. Have you ever been eating or drinking and suddenly something goes down the wrong pipe?
Yeah, that feeling, that little cough, that's actually your body protecting your lungs. But what if your gag reflex is compromised for some reason and you accidentally inhale some food, like say a French fry, or even a drink that's carrying microbes? Well, it can get into your lungs and cause a nasty infection. And that, my friends, is aspiration pneumonia.
Okay, so what does this battle actually look like inside the lung? Let's map out the different patterns of damage. When doctors look at an X-ray, they can actually see that the infection creates different patterns. You've got bronchopneumonia, for example, which looks kind of patchy and spread out. Then there's interstitial pneumonia, which affects the tissue between the alveoli. And then you've got lobar pneumonia. That's what happens when an entire section, a whole lobe of the lung gets filled up or consolidated with fluid.
Now, with lobar pneumonia, something pretty intense happens. It's a process called hepatization. And this quote just nails it. The lung tissue becomes so dense with fluid and cells that it actually starts to look and feel like a liver.
This whole process plays out in 4 distinct stages. For the first couple of days, it's all about congestion as fluid fills up the alveoli. Then comes red hepatization, where the lung gets firm and red because it's packed with immune cells and red blood cells. Around days 5 to 7, it transitions to gray hepatization. That's when those red blood cells start breaking down, which changes the color. And finally, after about a week, the body kicks off the resolution phase, where it starts the long process of cleaning up all the debris from the battlefield.
So, with this battle raging inside, how do doctors figure out what's going on and launch a counterattack?
Well, it usually starts with those classic telltale symptoms, right? You feel short of breath, you've got chest pain, a cough that's bringing stuff up, and then you've got the whole body effects, like a fever and just feeling completely wiped out.
Okay, here's a really cool diagnostic trick. A doctor might have you say 99 over and over while they feel your back. Why? It's simple physics, really. Sound vibrations travel way better through dense, fluid-filled lung tissue than they do through healthy air-filled lungs. It's a surprisingly effective, low-tech way to detect a really big problem.
So what's the game plan? It's usually pretty straightforward. First, a chest x-ray to confirm what's going on. If it's bacterial, then antibiotics are the main weapon. And then, to help the patient get through the fight, they'll get medications to help manage the symptoms, like the cough and the pain.
And listen, this is a huge takeaway. Even after the antibiotics have beaten the infection, the story isn't over. That final resolution stage, where your body is basically the cleanup crew on the battlefield, that can last for up to 3 weeks. Recovery takes time.
It's pretty incredible when you stop and think about it. These complex, invisible battles our lungs are fighting for us every single day. Understanding this whole process, from a single breath to a weeks-long cleanup effort, really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What can we do to better support our body's amazing first line of defense?